You join me today whilst I'm doing some jobs on my 345, my 1981 345DL, or as I just call it, the green car, because it differentiates it from all the other cars. You'll see that it is bumperless at the moment. Bumper is just over there. The reason it's bumperless is because I'm doing some painting. And if you recall from the video I did on the car before, you'll remember that the paintwork on the bottom half of the doors and parts of the wheel arches, etc., was pretty bad. So let me show you around that and show you a bit of what I have done so far. So the worst side of the car by far is the driver's side, and there were actually a pretty bad hole just there on the wing and sill area, and also down here on the rear wheel arch there was also a great big hole. So it's been at the body shop in Cambridge, and they have welded in new metal and filled over it, and they put some vaguely green coloured paint over it, which obviously looked horrendous. So I've managed to source the correct colour green, and I have done over the last couple of weeks some painting and blending in of the paint. It's definitely not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and actually the body shop didn't do that terrific a job smoothing out some of the filler areas, which is a shame, and I really have no patience doing that sort of thing, which is why I've sadly just left it. But from a distance it does look significantly better, and the thing I particularly like about this car is its originality, or its honesty. I mean, it's not terribly original in the sense that most bits have been replaced or repainted over the years, but I like that it's a little bit of a mishmash and just been kept alive on a budget and with love over the years. So I wanted to reflect that and not be immaculately done. I wanted to look in a car park from a distance how I would want to see a lovely old 340 which is used and cared for but not mollycoddled. I have also been painting the bottoms of the doors. You can really see where the new paint is versus the old paint. It looks worse on video than it is in reality for some reason, but one of my jobs soon is going to be polishing that, which hopefully will bring a shine to the new paint. I've bought a machine polisher. It hasn't arrived yet, but when it does I'm going to give it a go to try and polish a bit of shine into that paint. The other side here, the passenger side, is definitely a lot better anyway, so it was only the very bottoms of the doors that I've had to repaint. You can just about see my paint line there where it's a bit flatter than the shiny paint above. Same on the back door. Oh, there's a bit of overspray of primer there which I need to clean off, and I also managed to do a little bit of spraying on the wheel arch as well, just to get that looking a little bit better. It was a completely different colour, the wheel arch. So yes, it's nice to have the car back to being at least one shade of green rather than about 3 or 4 different shades. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be removing this tide mark, or what I call a tide mark anyway, of black on the sills. I've got a new can of paint, so I'm going to mask up the sills and just give it a few coats of green. My other job for today is to finish this area off here, the front wing. I've repaired it a few weeks ago. There was a great big hole in it, so that's now been repaired and filled over, but I now need to just put a strip of stone chip paint along the bottom edge there where you can see where the primer is, and then I'm also going to paint that and the front valance back to the green colour it's supposed to be. So let's get going. I've got to shake this damn thing for 3 minutes. Ugh, I'm knackered already and it's only been about 30 seconds. Next job for today is to deal with these 2 little areas here, because I couldn't quite not have them visible whilst I was masking up other areas of the door and the wing, so I had to leave them the other day. So just need to mask these up, and then we can get a bit of primer and some paint on those, just to get rid of those and blend them into the main paint of the car. I've recently discovered this technique of masking where you bend the paper or fold the paper to stop hard tape lines from appearing. I really should have learned this many years ago, because I've done quite a few terrible jobs before. I mean, it's still not perfect by a long way, but it certainly helps it stop being an absolute transition and helps it blend a little bit more into the paint around it. I know that if I was doing a really professional job, I would do the entire panel rather than just bits of it, but I really want as much of the original paint to remain, and for the car to look like it's been repaired rather than look like it's perfect. First coat of primer. I'm just masking up the sill to give so that I can paint the sill properly. The very bottom of the sill should still be black, so I'm just masking that off. You'll see when it comes to this area here that, I mean, it has been repaired quite a lot over the years, and not to a particularly good standard. I'm sure one day I will get it done properly and replace the sills or something like that. But you have to remember that this car was a daily driver for 37 years, and it should have been scrapped at some point in the mid-90s when it would be about 15 years old. But the current or the previous owners bought it, or I think she inherited it from her uncle in 1998, and she daily drove it for then 19 years after that point. So 19 years after it should have really been on the scrap heap, it kept going and kept being used as a daily driver. So I love that history that the car has, and so I want it to wear its history, which is why I don't mind it's got a few battle scars, it's got a few scabs, it's got a few interestingly repaired bits. I like that. It shows that it's lived a life and has lived an honest life. You'll see that the front valance has been painted black, so I'm going to return that to body colour as well. I wasn't sure how much of it to paint, whether the bottom part of it was supposed to remain black, so I've dug out my 1981 brochure, and you can tell, the light's pretty bad, but hopefully you can tell that the whole thing is supposed to be body colour, so that's good. I don't need to mask that. And I've also found that the entirety of the back should also be body colour underneath the bumpers, and I think mine is black, so I'll spray that up as well whilst I'm at it. And again, you may not be able to see, but there's the proof that the very bottom of the sides of the sills is actually black, so that's why I've masked a little bit off of the bottom of the sills. Well, even after just one coat of green paint on the front valance, it's already looking a lot better. Maybe only one other coat is all it needs. Right, you joined me a few hours later because my phone had to go and be charged. Hopefully you can just about see that all the lower portions of the car are now body coloured, just like they're supposed to be. And I've even done the back as well. Onto the bumpers, and hopefully you can just about see the rear valance there. But they both need another coat, so I shall do that in a bit. But first, I'm going to reattach the front bumper. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you might notice that this is actually a different bumper to the one that was in the previous video, and that's because this is the correct bumper for 1981. 1981 has a flat-fronted bumper. The later ones had a little point in the middle because they're from the facelift cars from 82 onwards, and that's what this car came with. But this is a correct DL flat-fronted bumper for 1981, so let's go and put it on. So we've got to line up the slots on the sides. There we go. Easy. And then we just need to attach these 4 bolts. Just put the caps on now. Beautiful. Oh, and doesn't that look good? I'm so glad to have the bumper back on. It's been off it for several weeks. It looks got its face back again, and I'm so happy with the way the front has turned out, painted green. It looks just right. Another little job I've been wanting to do on this car for a while is to sort out the boot lid, because it rattles. You can hear a little rattle when you close it, but if I do this, push against it, you can hear that it rattles in place, and so when you're driving along you can hear it sort of bouncing, and it gets quite annoying and makes the car feel like it's going to fall apart. So I'm going to see if I can tighten the lock. So this is the lock mechanism on the inside of the boot, and hopefully you can see that the bolts seem to be in a slot rather than in a hole. So I'm just going to loosen them, very slightly move the latch mechanism down, say 1 millimetre, and see if that makes a difference. So that's moved down about 1 millimetre or so, so let's see if that makes a difference. Closes, and very slightly rattles, but if I do it any tighter, I've tried, it won't close. So I think that's probably the best we can do, and next time I drive it we'll see whether it's cured the horrible rattle. Now I'm going to turn my attention to this rather sweet National Trust sticker that's been on the car for probably, I think, 25 odd years. I think it was 1995 the National Trust had its centenary, so yes, 25 years old that. It's flaking, peeling away, and as you drive along bits of it sort of fly through the air of the car, so it's not very nice, and it's I think served its time. However, I like it, and I managed to find a brand new one that's unused on eBay. So what I'm going to do is peel the old one off and scrape it off, and see if we can then position the new one, which hopefully might last another 25 years. Oh, it's really dark green, the original. It's faded so badly. Well, that will do. Hooray! Job well done, I think. I thought I might just show you the war zone that's in the boot after destroying that sticker, but those are the little fragments of it that just occasionally kept flying off and then would sort of float around the cabin. So yeah, good to get rid of that. I'll get the hoover out in a minute and get rid of it. Right, all the masking tape is off, and now you can see the sort of semi-finished article, all painted and lovely. Looks so much better than it did before. I'm so pleased with the front balance. That's made a massive difference, and just having the whole car one colour for the first time in a very long time, I suspect. Yeah, I think it's a massive improvement. Just show you around the side a little bit. You can see the sill is now the same colour as the rest of the car, and the rear valance, and all the way under the bumper and the rear valance as well. So that's it from today. Hopefully you've enjoyed me doing something a little bit different, showing you some of the jobs I've been doing on the car, and that you're as pleased as I am that the car's still being kept on the road, and that the colour of the car is now at least the same all the way around it. Stay tuned for some more videos. I've got a couple of other cars I haven't really shown properly on YouTube yet, but I'll do so one day. See you soon. Bye.